All right. Hey, Mo, good morning.
Hey Bernard, how are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you joining me this morning, and good morning to all who are watching us. It's Bernard Nomberg with another weekly installment of Nomberg Law Live, and I am so pleased to have my buddy Morris Lilienthal, attorney, but even better, all around great guy up in Huntsville, joining me this morning for something very informative. Good morning, Morris.
Hey Bernard, thanks for having me on the show today.
Oh, my pleasure, absolutely. This morning, guys, we are talking about a subject that is near and dear to Morris's heart and his wife Shannon. We're talking about Team Will. Team Will is a team that I'll let Morris share the story about, but they are part of the Huntsville area March of Dimes. They've got their big event coming up. And Morris, if you will, let's just start with a little background and introduce yourself and tell folks a little bit about Team Will.
Sure, Bernard, thank you so much for this opportunity and the platform to spread the message of our March of Dimes team and the mission of the March of Dimes. It's so important. But for everybody out there, hey, I'm Morris Lilienthal. I am a lawyer here in Huntsville, Alabama, and practice with the law firm of Martinson and Beeson. And my wife and I are native from Alabama, and we grew up in West Alabama together. We went to high school together, and we're just kind of best friends in high school. We didn't start dating until we got into college, and it was really inconvenient because it was a long distance relationship at that point in time. But we dated for Bernard for 9 years, and I hung on for as long as I could hang on, and got grief from everybody about when are you going to finally get married, or Shannon getting grief about you need to ditch him and move on. He's not going to be a keeper. And but we finally got married, and we were just kind of ready to settle down. I had gotten out of law school and was practicing there in Birmingham at the time, and my wife was teaching school over in West Alabama. And after 2 years of marriage, everything was going great, and we decided that we were as ready as anybody, I guess, can be to have children. And so Shannon became pregnant, and we were excited. And then a lot of things really started to happen. It's funny how life kind of goes where, it's like everything hits at one time sometimes. So this would in the end of 2008. And I changed jobs and moved here to Huntsville. And because Shannon was teaching school, she couldn't leave in the middle of a school year. So we were going to be apart during the pregnancy. And she calls me one day, Bernard, well, I'm here at the office in Huntsville, and she had been to a regular visit for her OBGYN and says, hey, there's a problem, and they found something abnormal in the ultrasound, and it was one of these things. They didn't think it was anything too problematic at the time. They thought that maybe the child or the baby's missing a kidney. And so they said, well, look, we want to make sure everything's checked out. And we get referred to the Kirkland Clinic there in Birmingham, which for people watching is a kind of a specialty clinic there that has a lot of neonatologists and prenatal care specialists. So we meet in Birmingham, and we probably had 5 or 6 high intensity ultrasounds throughout the duration of the pregnancy. And basically we're told that the baby, and we didn't want to find out what it was, that the baby was fine, other than we think he or she may be missing a kidney. And so that's kind of the backstory. Fast forward to delivery day, and Shannon was having a section, and the baby was born. The doctor says it's a boy. Congratulations. And he was using the bathroom right after he came out. So we're thinking, hey, his kidney's working. If he's got 1 or 2, whatever it is, it's working. It's a good thing. But quickly found out within about 2 minutes that there was a lot of things going on. And the doctors and nurses says, hey, we're going to have to take Will to the NICU. He's having some breathing problems. And that's kind of where it started. And for the first hour or two, we were just told there were some breathing problems. And then as they began to do more tests on him, we come to find out that he had a cluster of abnormalities. And we're ultimately told, Bernard, that he needed to be transferred to Birmingham. He was so critical, even at a level 3 NICU, which is really the highest level NICU of acute care that any major hospital would have. But there's in some areas of the country, there are what they call RNICs, which stands for the Regional Neonatal Intensive Care Unit. And it's really where the sickest of the sick children go. And that's where Will was transferred. So I ended up going to Birmingham to be with Will, and Shannon, because she just had a section, couldn't leave. And so our biggest nightmare was really coming true because A, first and foremost, something was wrong with Will, and B, we're going to be separated during the initial, duration of what's going on. And so for the first couple of days, I was in Birmingham. We were running test after test, and doctor after doctor, and the facility there was just amazing, and the doctors were just amazing. Unfortunately, Shannon, being the trooper that she is, got released early and was able to come from Northport, which for everybody watches around Tuscaloosa, Alabama, about an hour away, and come to Birmingham to be with us. And after another day or so's worth of testing, we were really, heard the news that no parent wants to hear, which is that his condition was fatal. And so that was something that's just I can't imagine, can't share with you how difficult that was. After we had waited all this time to get married and decided we were going to try to do everything by the playbook and be ready to be as prepared as we could. And for Shannon was really born to do two things in this world, and one was to be a mom, the other was to be a school teacher. And so it's certainly devastating to have to go through that with her. And so anyway, that's what happened to Will, and that's kind of the backstory to Team Will. And then we did a lot of testing to kind of find out what was going on. And in a nutshell, Bernard, what we found out was that Will just had what they call a cluster of abnormalities that they have kind of qualified as something called Bacterial syndrome. And it's something that was not really genetic. It was more just a cluster of abnormalities that occurs, of birth defects that occurs in about 1 in every 40,000 births.
Morris, I know that, and thank you for sharing that, your story. I've known your story. I've known you and Shannon for probably 15 years or so now, and I know that is and was a tough time. And I know that out of something as tough as what y'all went through, the two of you being as great as you guys are, you've turned something that was very tragic in your lives into something extremely positive. And I know that a few years later, you guys got involved with an organization that has ultimately led to Team Will.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about Team Will.
Yeah, so we're very fortunate that about a year or so later, we decided to have another child. Our son Wyatt was born, and he's completely healthy and just full of energy and just runs the whole house. I tell people if we had a dog, I would be behind Wyatt in the dog at the pecking order at the house. But Wyatt is our world. But there was something missing, and we were probably about 2.5, 3 years after we lost Will, and we were rocking and rolling with Wyatt. And there was just something missing, and I've told you this privately, but that you starting the Susan G. Komen team and you and your family and friends, and I know it's grown to include others, and it's just really taken a life of its own for you, for Team Kate Has Hope, was kind of an inspiration for me. And then I heard something about the March of Dimes locally, and there was a walk coming up within just a few weeks. About 6 years ago, we just decided, by gosh, this is what we're going to do. We want to do something to honor Will. We want to do something to raise awareness and to help the March of Dimes. And so we started what they call a family team, which is a team that you can start, on behalf of a loved one or a child that maybe was born premature and had some struggles and that's doing great now. So there's all kinds of stories behind that teams getting started. And so that's what we did. And now, because we're here in the Huntsville area, we started a team here in the Huntsville area.
And Team Will has grown over the last several years. I know that like most successes, you start small and you build and you build and you build. And the big annual March of Dimes event is coming up in April in Huntsville. And when we finish our interview, I want to make sure we put the links for any folks who either want to get involved or donate or race can certainly do so. Tell us about that event that day.
Yeah, so the March of Dimes is a national organization, and it might be good to kind of tell you what they do. It's always interesting for me when I talk to people about, nonprofits or things, my Rotary Club, for example, or March of Dimes. Well, what do they do? What do they support? What is their mission? and what they do. So I think it'd be really good let me give you just a minute overview for those watching. So the March of Dimes is a national organization that has local chapters in each state and in a lot of times in the major cities in each state. And so here in Alabama, we have an Alabama chapter, and then within our state, we have kind of broken down kind of the major cities: Huntsville, Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile. And the March of Dimes was actually started in 1938 by President Roosevelt with its mission to fight polio and to find a cure and vaccine for polio. And as most people know, and as people who are Rotarians like myself know, who teamed up with the March of Dimes to do that, we're about this close. There's usually, I think there's only 2 or 3 active countries in the world that actually have active cases of polio. So when the March of Dimes kind of got to essentially a conclusion, or had reached the mountain on that mission, their new mission really started to fight premature births and to fight birth defects. They're the leading nonprofit organization in the country for prenatal health and for infant health. And so what they do, Bernard, is similar to a lot of nonprofits, the American Cancer Society, a lot of the breast cancer and cancer research organizations. They have usually a signature event, and the real big signature event is what they call the March for Babies every year. And it's a fundraising and a raising and awareness event. And what they do with this money is they take this money and they do advocacy with mothers and to talk to about prenatal health. They provide research dollars to things for scientists and grants they can study certain diseases and prenatal issues that are going on. And they're advocates, out in the public area and in the political area for prenatal care. And so that's kind of, backstory about what the March of Dimes does. So that's, because of what we went through, that's certainly near and dear to our hearts. And, for people watching, you can go to the March of Dimes website and you can look at your local state statistics in terms of prenatal health and infant health. And here in Alabama, where we are, it's pretty staggering. We received an F last year on their report card. Almost 12% of every birth in Alabama is born premature, and we have over 500 infant deaths a year in Alabama. So we got a long way to go, and supporting things like the March of Dimes is a good way to prolong that and help improve those statistics. Mm-hmm. So the local event is we have a March for Babies here in Huntsville. It is April 21st this year, and it's at the University of Alabama, Huntsville, or we call it UAH here, and it's at Charger Park. There's actually, I think there's a 5K run, and then there's a walk. I will not be running. Team will be walking, or at least this member of Team will be. But it's great, come out, support, kind of like any organization, they love for you to sign up and say you're coming and doing. And we'd certainly love for you to sign up as a member of Team Will, sign up on your own. But if you can't, just, don't worry about signing up, just show up. You can sign up when you get there. It's no big deal. It doesn't cost anything to show. You don't have to make a donation to show. Certainly that's appreciated if you can, but you certainly don't have to. Helping spread the word by sharing videos like this one, by sharing other videos that are out there and post about the March of Dimes is another way people can help by spreading the word, because that helps get the mission of the March of Dimes out there.
Absolutely. Now, anyone who knows Wyatt knows that he has more energy than any 6 kids around. If you've seen his basketball videos, or you throwing passes in the backyard, or anything else that Wyatt does, that boy has so much energy, and I can't imagine him walking the entire thing. Is Shannon going to try to keep up with him, or how are you going to corral Wyatt and his energy?
We just try to keep him within an eyesight distance of somebody that knows him, and he does, Bernard. I know all parents say their kid has energy and does, but I swear he's got more energy than any kid I've ever seen, and he is full of life, and if there's a ball or something to play, he wants to play it. And if there's a competition to anything, oh my gosh, he is so competitive. And what's so cool with it is he's gotten into the Team Will. And I hate to do that, but it's kind of what I was kind of taught growing up. And what I teach him is that if you're going to commit to doing something, do it all out, give it your all. If you win, that's great. If you don't, that's okay. You'll be better because of it. But he truly is now a part of, and really an integral part of the marketing for Team Will, because nobody wants to give to this mug. They much rather give to Wyatt's mug than mine. And so we have fun videos. We do fun posts with him, and he'll check in, and you just never know what he might be doing to try to catch somebody's attention to attract another walker or attract a donation. And so it's really cool. And the other thing I didn't mention earlier was, so Wyatt and Will share initials. And so that was a cool thing that we thought it was pretty cool that we did to honor Will, was that his brother shares his initials. So that's cool. And so there's a little piece of him there. But the Team Will is kind of a legacy, and not only for Will, but it's a legacy for Wyatt to kind of carry on for his brother. So it's kind of cool that he's been involved. But we do, for those watching, should be coming out probably this week. We do T-shirts. And so if you're interested in doing, follow the Team Will Facebook page, and we'll put it in the video below for us, Bernard, and I'll make sure it's there. Absolutely. But follow the page. There'll be T-shirts. The proceeds from the T-shirts go to our on behalf of the March Dimes for Team Will. So that goes to our numbers. And so, if you can come, we'd love for you to come. If you can't, buy a T-shirt. If you make a donation, or just spread the word. And what I shared with somebody recently at the March of Dimes kickoff meeting this past week was, it really struck me in the last several years as I go around and I tell people our story, and how many people have been impacted by this? How many people have a child or a niece or a nephew that was born premature, or how many people have lost a child? And it was not something that you really go around talking to people about. But once you start sharing your story and you're trying to do good for an organization like this and to spread their mission and to help raise awareness, people will come up to me and say, you know what, I had this happen to me, and you make a connection with them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd be remiss not to point out that that Shannon is watching with us, and so is my mother Ruth. We appreciate you both tuning in for a minute. Hello to both of you guys. And I can't overlook that over your right shoulder is a picture of Wyatt in his basketball uniform. And I just get exhausted seeing a still picture of the boy. He is such an awesome dude.
Well, thank you, Bernard.
I know that he's looking forward to that day on April 21st at the UAH campus. Morris, as we conclude, and I appreciate you sharing, Shannon, and your story about Will and the history of it, and the awesome work that you guys are doing for the March of Dimes in the Huntsville area. Is there any other concluding remarks, anything else to share with folks? And of course, we'll put all the comments, the links in the comments section when we conclude in a few minutes.
No, I just, really want to encourage people that not only about the March of Dimes, but if you have something that's going on in your life that has kind of left a mark in your life, an impression on your life, and you want to do something to honor someone or to honor somebody else or to raise awareness for a cause, you can do it. And this was something that we started just really on a whim, a little over 5 years ago, 6 years ago. This will be our 6th year. Do it. And whether it's, whatever cause it is, you can do it. And you would be surprised at how many people will actually get behind you when they see you have a passion and just an interest in helping others. And I'm sure you can share that same sentiment with your work with the Susan G. Komen breast cancer awareness and y'all's efforts. And it's just been amazing for Shannon and I. It's been very therapeutic for us, and it's just been amazing for us to allow us to heal and spread this mission and to meet a lot of great people who are really helping us do a lot of great work. So thank you again.
Absolutely. And Morris, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, it also is creating a legacy for Wyatt and a connection with his brother. It really is.
I think so. And if anybody's interested, we'll put it in the link, but teamwill.net, just TEAMWILL.net. That'll take you to kind of a page, a website that has just an overview of when the walk is, where it is. It has a link to the Secure March of Dimes website where you can make a donation, and it will be registered to Team Will's name. And it also has a link to our Facebook page as well.
And that's how folks can reach out to you if they have questions about the race or donating, et cetera.
Exactly. My information, you can either instant message me on Facebook, or my email address is on that teamwill.net page.
Well, Morris, again, thank you for sharing your story and the awesome work you guys are doing with Team Will.
Well, thank you, Bernard, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Certainly. And guys, thank you for watching live, and those of you who will hopefully be watching us after we conclude this. Again, I'm Bernard Nomberg with the Nomberg Law Firm in Birmingham. Each Tuesday of Nomberg Law Live. We'll be back again next Tuesday with another interesting topic. We're actually going to be talking to Jesse Churchward. Jesse he's the head lacrosse recruiter for NCSA, Next Collegiate Student Athlete. It's an awesome organization. Jesse will talk about the spreading of the game in the South, the rule changes, etc. And I hope you guys will join us next week at 10 o'clock a.m. Central. And I think that'll be it for today. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Take care, Morris.
Thank you, Bernard.